My name is Odysseus, and this is my first vlog. I will be now giving a monologue on Book 10 of the Odyssey. We finally reached Ionian Island, a huge floating island. The King Aeolus hosted us for an entire month, gave us news of Troy, and gave us information of how to sail home. I told him our long adventure thus far, and when I asked him to send us on our way, he was not hesitant at all. He gave us a sack made with the skin of full-grown ox, and inside were raging winds. The great Zeus made Aeolus the master of all winds. He stashed the bag in our storage and tied it up with a burnished silver cord, and then sent us on our way with a west wind to blow our squadron home. We sailed for 9 days and 9 nights, non-stop. On the 10th, we finally found our land. I was extremely tired tending to the vessel's sheets myself, not trusting my crew members to tend the ship. But as we got closer to the land, the crew was looking through the treasures that I was bringing home. They then, with carelessness and greed, found the sack Aeolus gave me and tried to open it to see what kind of treasure was in there. Once they opened the sack, the winds bursted out, sending us back to the sea far from Ithaca. I had to bear with the stupidity of my comrades and set sail back to Aeolus's island. We came back to the Aeolian island to seek more supplies and help from Aeolus. But when I came in asking, Aeolus dismissed me from his island and called me a cursed man of the gods, and did not want any part of me again. We set sail again, restarting our perilous journey with no wind this time favoring our sail. The crew was all depressed, and their spirits were broken. We then rode for 6 whole days and nights, non-stop, until the 7th night. We stumbled upon the Lastrygonian land. We entered the harbor and docked the ships. I came up to get a better look of the land and did not see neither man or beast. All I saw was smoke drifting off the land. So I sent some of my crew members to try and investigate that smoke. They finally found a girl drawing water and asked her all sorts of questions about the island, to which she pointed to her father's palace. My shipmates went to the palace only to find a mountainous wooden crag that filled them with horror. The husband then came and snatched one of my crewmates and ate him up. The rest came running back to the ships, where they met back up with the rest of us. The husband, however, let out a cry, summoning hundreds of Lastrygonians to swarm us. They were the size of giants. We quickly set sail from the harbor. The Lastrygonians were flinging boulders from the cliff, destroying the whole squadron except for my ship alone. We were glad for our survival, but our morale sunk because of the loss of our shipmates. We then set sail and reached Aeolian Island next, the home of Circe, a nymph with lovely braids and an awesome power. We docked our ships at the harbor and then rested there for 2 whole days, eating our hearts out, tired to the bone, to try and replenish our morale. I then went scanning the land looking for signs of anything. I came upon a huge stag and quickly came in for the kill. I wanted to bring the stag back to my men and let them eat up to their heart's desires and then send them to scan the rest of the land. And so I did. I split my men into 2 squadrons, one to stay at the ships, which I led, and one to go explore the land, with which Lord Eurylochus led. Eurylochus' squadron explored Circe's palace, and was then welcomed by Circe herself. She tricked them into drinking drugs, and turned all my men into pigs, except for Eurylochus, for seeing this event, and came running back to us informing us all of what happened. Now I had to go myself to bring my men back. On the way to Circe's palace, I exchanged paths with Hermes, telling me all I needed to know about Circe and how I can counter Circe's drug. He gave me a magic herb to eat to nullify the effects and told me exactly what to do once I succeeded. Then I came to Circe's palace, where Hermes' plan executed exactly like he said. The drug did not have any effect on me, and then I drew my sword and I rushed to her. She then realized that I was Odysseus and that Hermes told her that I would be arriving. She then bathed me and fed me and turned my comrades back into humans, when she proceeded to bathe them and feed them also. I then made my way back to my other shipmates at the dock with joyous news that our crewmates were saved and that Circe welcomed us to eat and rest at her palace. My men were ecstatic, except for Eurylochus, doubting my words, but eventually coming to the palace. My men all ate up and were bathed and slept at the palace. I, however, came into Circe's bed, pleading her to get me back to Ithaca. She told us exactly what to do. We had to go to the house of death. So the next morning I came and I told all my shipmates that we had to set sail back to sea, and they all groaned and whined, because they did not want to go back to the horrors of the sea. But to the sea we went. Remember, guys, to like and subscribe.
We reached the Arabian island. Odysseus docked our ships at the harbor, and we rested at the harbor for 2 whole days. He then went out and brought back a tremendous stag, in which he told us to eat up. It was probably because our morale was low. Once he finished, he split us up into 2 squadrons, where he picked me to lead one of the squadrons to go explore Sisyphus' place. I left with my platoon of brave soldiers to explore such island. There was beasts of the mountains watching us, filled with fear of what is to come. We stopped at the great doors, where we heard a voice of sweet honey. A devoted man stepped up and said that there was great singing and loom playing behind such doors. We should call out to her who plays and sings with beauty. My men started calling out to her, and she came, inviting them all into her palace. My men should have known better than trust beauty, the killer of men. I waited and waited for any men to come back out, but they never came. I know that they have fell to beauty, so I ran. I ran back to safety of the ship. I couldn't speak with my gasping of air as I cried for the men that has been lost. I struck left and right with questions, then I told them the fate of our comrades. And Odysseus geared up and told me to lead him to his doom. I grabbed his knees and tried to stop this. I begged. Odysseus left. There was nothing I could do but lay in wait. Time later in grief, but then Odysseus came back. My comrades came up in glee. Odysseus says we are going to Sisyphus' halls. He must be insane to go there to all of our fates. I tried to stop this nonsense before doom sets fate. Odysseus' eyes grew with fire of hell itself, but the men calmed him down. They said to him, for me just to guard the ships. I knew if they gone they would all die. I couldn't stand by the ships and be left to die by myself. But death did not came, but there was only food and wine. We stayed there for a year, but we wanted to go home. Odysseus says we're going home, but at least we're going to see home again. But then Odysseus says the way to get home is to the house of death. All the men grieved as we went on our way.
Shipmates who entered my home, Aegean Island, I am a nymph with lovely braids with the power to speak in human voice. I am the true sister of murderous-minded Aedas. My mother is Percy. 20 of them came to my palace at dawn. It is built of dressed stone on a cleared rise of land. I was going to bewitch them myself using magic drugs that I would offer them. Mountain wolves and lions would not dare attack the men when they hear my singing, lifting my spellbounding voice as I glided back and forth. Only a goddess could weave with shimmering glory. I've opened my gleaming door, inviting them all in. I told them to sit down on high back chairs. One stayed behind. Seems like he knows about my murderous plan. I started to mix potions that will only wipe out their memories about going home later. I heard a voice call upon me. I once again opened my gleaming doors for this man. This time I told the man to sit on the silver-studded chair. I mixed a potion for him to drink. He had drank it, but I was confused. He was not bewitched. I yelled at him, "Off to your sty, you swine, and wallow with your friends." He drew his sword against me and I screamed, ducked under his blade and hugged his knees. I then questioned his background and said, I'm wonderstruck. You drink my drugs and you're not bewitched. Never has any other man withstood my potion. Never. You have a mind in you, no magic can enchant. I then realized he is Odysseus, man of twists and turns, Hermes the giant killer, god of the golden wand, had told me that I would cross paths with him. I suddenly changed my mind and told him to join me in bed together and mixing the magical work of love. We'll breed deep trust between us. He refuses and continues to fight back, yelling, "How dare you tell me to treat you with any warmth?" I convinced him to join my bed while he is naked with an oath not to hurt him. Four of my handmaids bustled through the halls performing their tasks. Four of my servants rushed through the halls. One would drape the chair. The second one drew up a silver table and laid down golden plates to hold the bread. The third would warm up wine in little cups. The fourth would bring water and lit a blazing fire under a massive cauldron, and once the water heated up, I bathed them in a tub mixing the hot and cold to suit his taste. Showering away his exhaustion from his body, the bathing finished, and then I dried him. Throwing a shirt around his waist, I led him to sit on a chair so he could rest his feet, getting water to rinse his hands and brought food. I had noticed he did not want to eat or drink. "Why not eat? Have I not said my oath to you?" I said. "I would not dare to eat without you letting my comrades go," he demanded. I held my hand high and turned his comrades back into men. "Get the rest of your trusty men who are here to feast with you," I said, and waited. Once they had come back, I bathed his comrades and we feasted once more until they were tired and slept in the shadow halls. I then saw Odysseus weeping, not eating any food. "Royal son of Lyridas, no more tears, punishment you endorse on land. Come now and feast with us. Your hearts never lifted by joy," I said. They were all finally at ease. One night, after many months, he came upon me and said, "Circe, now make good promise you gave me once. It's time to help me home. My heart belongs home, so do my comrades." So I told him how to get home. "You have one journey to do for me, to the house of death. Wept in my bed, no longer seeing daylight. The seas will send you there. You will see two rivers, one of tear and another of fire. Choose one." I gave him my order and dressed him. The next morning they set sail and left me all alone.